Hi everyone. So I started following Trump on Facebook, not because I think he's so great or anything. Actually, more because you know he's especially in German media, he's always made out to be a complete idiot, and I wanted to see if that's true. But actually, it doesn't matter anyway because whether you follow him on Facebook or Twitter or anything, they don't really show you his posts anyway. They always tend to get buried. Um, yeah, so, but, you know, I check his page from time to time. You kind of have to do that. So you have to manually check his page from time to time if you want to see what he's posting, and he didn't disappoint. And it's much worse than I could have ever imagined. He seems to be. I didn't really think he was an idiot. I wasn't sure. I mean, he gets portrayed as being like the biggest idiot ever, and as having the mental capacity of a 5-year-old, and I didn't quite believe that. But boom, he shares a Babylon Bee article, fake news, and this time, not CNN, not the CNN fake news, real fake news, if that makes any sense. Uh, and he doesn't seem to know that it's fake news. He shares it like it's obvious fake news, but he shares it as if it was real news. And you know, so first off, I didn't think he was that stupid. Secondly, you'd think that if he makes a blunder like that, I mean, it is possible, maybe he didn't really look at the source, like at all, and no one in his administration ever looked at it, because this is already, as you can see, this is 8 hours ago, you know. You'd think that by now someone in his administration would have noticed that this is fake news, we better take it down, but no. So weird. So even if he is stupid, is his entire administration stupid? What's going on here? I mean, obviously he has people doing the social media stuff for him. I mean, he doesn't do it all by himself, does he? So what's going on here? Did they not notice that it's obvious fake news? I mean, look at the article. Where is it? Oh, well, maybe I should just click the link. Okay, so yeah, so it's just so obviously fake, because it says here, you know so you can read it yourself, right? Twitter shuts down entire network to slow spread of negative Biden news, and it talks about Twitter having like well, you see it here. um In a last ditch effort to stop negative stories about Joe Biden and his family from spreading, Twitter shut down its entire social network Thursday. After seeing account after account tweet out one particularly bad story, CEO Jack Dorsey realized he had to take action. Dorsey smashed a glass box in his office, reading break in case of bad publicity for Democrats. Inside the case was a sledgehammer for smashing Twitter's servers. Red alert! Shut down the servers! Shut them all down! Dorsey ran downstairs and started smashing as many computers as he could, but he did not need to ask for some help as the hammer was but he did need to ask for some help as the hammer was pretty heavy. None of the programmers could lift the hammer either. Eventually they managed to program a robot to pick up the sledgehammers and smash the servers. After hearing the Twitter employees talk about critical theory, the robot got woke and began attacking all the cis white males. Okay, so in all seriousness now, do you really think, I mean, obviously there are some people who think Trump is really stupid. But, he is a relatively successful business person after all, and he is the president of the United States. So, do you honestly think he really has the mental capacity of a 5-year-old? No. But admittedly, even a 5-year-old would have probably figured out that this article was fake news, because it would be pretty obvious even to a 5-year-old. So what's going on here? And obviously he's not an idiot, and obviously his opponents aren't idiots either. Neither of them are as dumb as you might think. And the interesting thing here is that I looked. I mean, this was already 8 hours ago, right? So, and normally this would be something, the media, CNN, MSNBC, and all the other mainstream media, they would jump on this, wouldn't they? Normally, they'd be like, "Ha ha, we got him! Ha ha, proof!" I mean, the entire time they were spreading this narrative that Trump is extremely stupid and literally has the mental capacity of a 5-year-old. They were actually really saying that. They were saying that the entire time, and now they finally have something. They have proof. They have proof that he's obviously even more stupid than a 5-year-old. Finally, they got what they were looking for, and then they don't report on it. Because, see, this is already 8 hours ago that Trump tweeted that. Well, Facebook did that. And I think he tweeted it as well. Yeah. But, yeah. Oh, by the way, you look into this if he actually did tweet that. I'm not gonna look into that now, but wouldn't it be funny if he actually did tweet that? Because if he did tweet that, wouldn't that in itself prove that he must have known that the story can't be true? Because obviously then Twitter is working, right? And he must have seen that it is working. So anyway, this is the only news article that I saw that's reporting on this. It seems that none of the usual mainstream media that would normally jump at this are covering this at all, and they're not saying anything about it at all. And isn't that weird? So it seems that even though the mainstream media portray him as being extremely stupid, they obviously themselves don't think that he's extremely stupid, and they must have catched on to what he's doing here. Look at this tweet. Twitter shuts down the entire network to slow spread of negative Biden news. Wow, this has never been done in history. This includes his really bad interview last night. Why is Twitter doing this? Bringing more attention to Sleepy Joe and Big Tech. I think the last sentence here is key. So first off, he isn't just sharing this. He is making it apparent that he apparently really did get fooled by it, and apparently really seems to think that this obvious fake news article is real. But the last sentence is key. Bringing more attention to Sleepy Joe and Big Tech. Who is bringing more attention to Sleepy Joe and Big Tech? Because it's not apparent who that is, right? You'd think, well, the sentence before is, why is Twitter doing this? So you'd think bringing more attention to Sleepy Joe and Big Tech is referring to Twitter, but is it though? Who is bringing more attention to Sleepy Joe and Big Tech? Might as well be referring to himself, right? He is bringing more attention to Sleepy Joe and Big Tech. How is he doing that? Well, by apparently falling for an obvious fake news article, and obviously he's hoping that the mainstream media will pick that up so as to make him look bad like they usually do, and that way he is bringing more attention to Sleepy Joe and Big Tech, because there is more to it. Because see, this entire thing, well, what prompted this fake news, what prompted the article by the Babylon Bee I mean, it's satire, right? So what prompted, and satire is always based on some real events, and then of course they're, um, uh, they're making fun of it, and they're satirizing it. But essentially, the satire itself is of course not true. It's satirized, but it's based on something, right? It's always based on some truth. So what is it that this satire is based on? What did really happen? Obviously, Twitter did not shut down its service. What did they do? Well, what they did do is they they actually banned they did ban Trump's press secretary. Why did they ban her? Because she shared an article about Joe Biden, and on all the mainstream social media, you cannot share this article anymore. And this article was actually covered by the Babylon Bee, because they're the only one who can who can still publish it, because they don't get taken serious. So they are still allowed to publish it, but no one else is allowed to say it. So they were pretty ingenious. Yeah. So where is it? Yeah. Right. So here. This is actually, you'd think this is satire, but this is actually true. So of course they're giving it a comical spin, and they're using reverse psychology here. This article came out before Trump retweeted that other article from the Babylon Bee. So what the Babylon Bee did is they noticed that you cannot share on Twitter and Facebook and so on, and you get banned if you share this article here. This isn't fake news. So they're actually linking to the actual article, because you cannot share this article on Facebook and Twitter and so on, and you get banned if you share this article. And this article is not fake news. This article is well, seems to be true. Of course, do your own make your own opinion about that, and look at it yourself. But there, well, there's been some relatively big revelations about Biden and his son, and read the article yourself. It's pretty interesting, and there seems to be something to it. So, but you cannot share that actual article, and you get banned if you share that. So the Babylon Bee just made a satire article about that, but in that satire article, they're linking to the actual article. And so then that way, you can share the article from the Babylon Bee on social media without getting banned. And that article then links to the real article. So I think what Trump was doing here, and this isn't the first time he's done something like that. I'm just using this as an example to show that he's not as stupid as he sometimes appears, right? Because I think he did that intentionally to get people to go to the Babylon Bee. Because even if the mainstream media used this to attack him, they gotta mention the Babylon Bee after all. So it makes a lot of people go to the Babylon Bee, and when they go to the Babylon Bee, they actually see this article here and the link to the actual article. And this is, I think, what Trump wants people to see, the actual article, about Joe Biden's dirty little secrets, right? So that's what Trump wants to raise awareness about, but he can't, because if he shares the article, he gets banned. Go away. So he does it that way instead, and yeah. But it didn't work, because suddenly, suddenly no one is jumping at it. You'd think they jump at it, but suddenly no one is reporting on it except this newspaper that I've never heard of. and that seems to in 8 hours that seems to be the only newspaper that actually covered the story and jumped at the chance uh, you know, of pointing out that Trump apparently fall for a fake news article, for a satire article. Yeah, but they're the only one who are reporting it. So apparently, even though the mainstream media portray him as being extremely stupid, even they themselves obviously realize that he wasn't being stupid at all and that he was doing that intentionally. So they saw through that, and for some reason, uh, they seem to be really afraid of this article here. They don't want people to see it, so they even pass, they even pass up the chance of reporting on Donald Trump having fallen for a fake news article or for a satire article. They rather not report on that than bring attention to this actual article here. So quite interesting.